You're 1 week out from Ironman 70.3 Oregon. How are you feeling?
Well, it's safe to say my nerves are absolutely at their peak. Definitely feel that all the training and the time that it's spent swimming, biking, running, lifting, everything else is, that journey to get to the start line. And with that being said, what I mean by that is I think it's safer to know that I have the ability to complete the distances in the race because I've trained to do so. And that brings up a really good point that I think people forget is they worry so much about getting to the finish of the race and their nerves are really eating them up, which is absolutely understandable. But you've trained to get there, and if you've done the work to get there, that's just the icing on the cake. The cherry on top is the actual event itself. You've done the work to get there. You know that when you get in the water, you can swim that distance. When you get on the bike, you know you can bike that distance. When you get on the run, you know you can run that distance. So my nerves are still shot, which is pretty normal, but I feel good about it. If I were to pick one thing that I'm the most nervous about out of the three, the swim, the bike, and the run, when I first started, I absolutely would say it was my run. I was super nervous about my run. Later on down the road, I was worried about my swim. Bike, I've never been too worried about, but to be honest, today, I would say my swim is the one that's biting me a little bit. The runs, just putting in the work, doing what I've researched, doing what works well for me, has proven through the races I've already done, 5K, 10K, the half, marathon, and so on. It's proven that you just put in the work and you just get your mind in the right place, you can do it. And that's been a huge confidence booster in a field that I wasn't confident in. So when you take all that back, the next thing you look at is the bike, and I'm very confident on the bike. Right with that, the worst thing that can go wrong is obviously mechanical failures, and that's what we hope that we've done enough work between me and my team to make sure that the bike's up and running in the right spots. Then we get into the swim, and what can go wrong with that? There's a lot that can go wrong. You can cramp, you can get your goggles kicked off. There's a million different things, but the nice part is training for those things. You know that if something happens, you have the ability to push past whatever those things are. Could I have trained harder? Could I have trained more? I think absolutely. I think anybody, when you get to your start line, you realize you could train a little bit more, you could do something different. But you also have to step back and look at, well, where were you when you first started? You didn't even have the ability to get on the starting line, as opposed to the people that are competitive, that are training for the win, or they're training to place or go places. I think there's a big difference, and when it comes to looking at people like myself, age groupers, people who are just starting out. Remember, I'm new in the sport, so just starting out, our smart goal isn't necessarily to go out there and win and to go out there and put these huge times up. And I really think that that is really detrimental to a lot of people's training, that they're too focused on times, and they haven't even done a race yet. They haven't gone out there and tried it, and yet they're worried about their swim time, they're worried about their bike time, they're worried about their run time. And it's fine if you're worried because you don't think you can complete the leg in the allotted time, the swim in an hour and a half, so on and so forth. If you can't do that, then that's where you need to focus your energy on. But focusing on going out there and being competitive and putting up these huge times, I did it at first. I absolutely could say that was a fault of mine. And I'm super glad that, you know, in talking to people who do this over and over, who have multiples under their belt, the first thing they said is you need to get through your first one, and then you need to figure out from there what your next step is. And to be honest with you, until I get to my start line and then I get to my finish line, I'm not focused on my next step. And people ask, what's the next step? I'm still on step one. I still got to get to that start line. I can't focus past that. So my focus right now is to get up to Salem, get on the start line, and just start ticking off each box. Get through the swim, knock that box off. Get through the bike, knock that box off. Get through the run and finish the event. And when I'm doing each event, I'm not worried about what is the bike gonna be like, what is the run gonna be like. I'm worried about where I'm at presently. I'm focused on my stroke, I'm focused on how I'm breathing and making sure that I'm staying calm so I'm not using as much oxygen, I'm not kicking as much. When I'm on the bike, I'm focusing on my nutrition, making sure that I'm setting myself up for success and not just getting into this pattern where, oh, I feel good at the moment. So I'm focusing on all my steps, but not overreaching those steps. I think if I could give any advice to anybody who's deciding or thinking about doing this, it's if this is something you're thinking about doing, I strongly recommend you sign up. You pay the fee and you get into a triathlon, not necessarily an Ironman event or any of these other, you know, massive events we see on TV. Definitely start local, look in your local area. I mean, I'm blessed in San Diego. We have the birthplace of triathlon is here. We have so many great, you know, San Diego Triathlon series, all these different ones, and then of course surrounding areas. So with that, I recommend getting into your locals, tries, sprints, so on and so forth, and trying them out. That's exactly what I did, and I felt that I just really enjoy the training for the sport. I enjoy when I'm doing it. I mean, there's 3 events, so you kind of have 3 finish lines. Well, 2 and 1 big finish line. So I recommend when you get out there and you try it, go out and have fun, sign up for something, put your money on the line, because it's easy to say, I think I'm gonna do this, I put it on my calendar, and that's great. You know, one thing to look out for, well, I would say two. One of them is these events are selling out pretty quick because now that, you know, restrictions are down and people are getting outside, it's awesome to see that these events are saying, hey, we're sold out. Ironman 70.3 is sold out. That's awesome. Tons of other ones are sold out. So with that being said, sign up as early as you can, that you feel comfortable with it, but get out there, put your money on the line, because I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to say no to an event that you haven't paid for than it is to say no to an event that you have invested the money into. Because once you invest the money, you gotta invest the time to get there. And I'm a very firm believer in that. And I think that's why when I have days that I'm struggling, I sit back and go, listen, you have a start date. You have paid for the start date. You have booked your airfare, your hotel, all these different things. You have to get to that start line. Now I feel that it makes it easier. So that's one of those other keys when training, you just don't want to do it. When the discipline doesn't kick in, when the motivation is out the window, when just everything is gone, you have another pillar to look at. And I think it's very important. And that'd be one of my recommendations. Take off your pedals before you try to put it in the bag. I forgot a step. Oops.
J'ai donné mon vie pour toi. Je vous aimerai pour toujours.
don't forget them. So find a spot where you're gonna charge them and pack them. Typically I just drop them in, and then when I go through all my stuff, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, making sure I brought everything with me. I go through my bike also when I'm doing my head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and the glasses. This is just an added piece. You don't have to be stuck in one gear. That would suck. I really think one of the biggest things when getting ready for a race that I like to do, or kind of go over, is just going through all of my stuff, kind of one item by one item. Again, I know I refer to head, shoulders, knees, and toes a lot, but it's kind of a way for me not to forget, shoe or a helmet or any of those type of things. Just kind of a checklist. And I'm a firm believer in, if your car is clean, your car will run forever. So I kind of take the same care as to my equipment for racing. I think that if it's just a little bit cleaner, you're gonna go a little bit faster, or so we hope. So I think being out in the garage, kind of making my own workstation for doing all this, has been probably one of the funnest parts. And moving forward, I know I have a video that I'd like to do, just kind of an idea of, upgrading it. What can I add? I mean, there's a ton to do, from paint to product to whatever it takes, just something. So doing this journey has been kind of a step-by-step process, from remembering when I bought my first desk for doing this. My monitor I was super stoked about. It was back in the corner. Now we've got this, we've got TVs up. So just kind of those little step-by-step things has been a big part of the journey that I've really enjoyed. How ready am I? I think I'm efficiently prepared for everything that I've had to go through to get to the starting line, with work being as busy as it is, with the amount of traveling I've been doing. So that's definitely limited the training. Tons of people have reached out and said, wow, I can't believe that you're able to stay on top of it. And to be honest with you, it's absolutely one of the hardest things to do, because you're not in these long lap pools, you're not on your bike, you're running on a treadmill half the time. And then the consistency of what time of day, you shoot to the East Coast, you're 3 hours ahead. So you're running 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning California time. So your body is just, it does take a toll. I have been home and I've just literally fell asleep because I'm just exhausted, but it's okay. I think I've put together the best training that I could do to get there. And again, I didn't hire a coach. I tried a few online apps, but I just took a lot of the stuff, put it together, used my head, and I think I developed something that's gonna get me to the starting line and get me through to the finish line. As to be competitive, that's going to be some changes if I decide to go that route. But to say if I'm ready, what do you think?
J'ai donné ma vie.